We're at Tom McCall Waterfront Park. In fact, Tom McCall would have been 100 in just a few years, so a centennial celebration will kick off. We'll find out maybe a touch more about that. So glad you're with us on Comcast Newsmakers. I'm Ken Ackerman. Speaking of politicians, Oregon lost one of its most historical figures last month, and a close family friend is here to talk with us about Senator Mark Hatfield and his legacy. Please welcome Kerry Tymchuk, who is the Executive Director of the Oregon Historical Society. Kerry, I know that you visited Senator Hatfield in his last few days and weeks. Things weren't great, but we want to hear about the great things that he's done for the state.
Well, I think you're right, Ken. I think in Oregon's 150 plus years of history, he is the most influential, consequential figure, I think, in Oregon history. Served almost 50 years in elective office, from state representative to state senator, secretary of state, to 2 terms as governor, to 30 years in the U.S. Senate, where he ended up, of course, as chairman of the Senate Appropriations Committee, the most powerful committee. And you can't find a community in Oregon that has not benefited by Senator Hatfield. From here in Portland, you look up the hill to OHSU, that wouldn't be here without him. Every other community in the state, there is something, a road, a bridge, a highway, a building, a program that was there because of Senator Hatfield. But I like to say that more important than the material resources that has been his legacy in Oregon are the human resources. There's 30 years of former Hatfield interns and former Hatfield staffers who are playing now leadership roles in Oregon, and who he was their role model, and now they're trying to emulate by devoting much of their life to public service.
You know, I had a chance to meet him, and he's a presence when you walk in a room, as you would imagine. How's his wife Antoinette doing?
Antoinette is, doing as can be expected. She's a remarkably strong woman too. The service last month was beautiful, with a remarkable eulogy by Visco Hatfield, his son, who just gave one of the most stirring, inspiring eulogies I've ever heard. And Senator Hatfield was a very spiritual man, as you know. And one of my favorite stories, one he shared with me, was about the time when he went to visit Mother Teresa in Bombay and Calcutta, as she was ministering to the poorest of the poor. And he went out with her one day, and he saw how she, for every life she touched, for every sick person she could help heal, there were 10,000, 50,000, 100,000 that she couldn't touch. There were just, the poverty is so systemic over there. And he asked her, he said, how can you do that? How do you go out every day knowing that for every life you touch, there are so many more that you don't? Right. And she said, Mark, God didn't call me to be successful, he called me to be faithful. And I think by any definition, Mark Hatfield lived a very successful life, but more important to him was that he lived a faithful life. Some
very, very kind words, and we appreciate those, Kerry. And he was a big supporter of the Oregon Historical Society, and you've been at the helm now for 7 months, and how are you enjoying it?
It's a great job. It's a great mission to preserve Oregon history and to educate it and inspire future Oregonians and the current Oregonians. And you're right, Senator Hatfield was a huge fan of OHS. When he returned from the Senate and moved back to Oregon in January of 1997, one of the first things he did was work with OHS to start a Marco Hatfield Distinguished Historians Forum. And for the last 14 years, we have brought out 3 or 4 or 5 historians a year, many of them handpicked by Senator Hatfield, and most of them coming because he invited them, Doris Kearns Goodwin and David McCall over the years, to give a lecture here in Portland on some great historical topic. And so we're already planning for next season, which will begin in January 2013. And the opening program we've decided will be a tribute to Senator Hatfield by many of those who knew him best, including Senator Bob Packwood and former Congresswoman Elizabeth First. They'll join in a tribute to him that night.
And tell me about Oregon Rocks.
It's a history of popular music and rock and roll in Oregon. And it tells a great story. Music began in Oregon back in the Native Americans' days, of course, and in the Lewis and Clark diaries, when they were here, there's an entry that about one night, everybody relaxed by listening to fiddle music. Well, we're beyond that now, of course, and now we've had folks like the Kingsmen, Louie, they performed last month at our opening concert at the exhibit, and it tells the story of punk music and rock and roll music and jazz music.
Where can people find out more about this?
www.ohs.org.
Kerry Tymchuk, thank you very much for being with us. We appreciate it. Thank you for being here as well. I'm Ken Ackerman for Comcast Newsmakers. Make it a great day.